We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we've jumped up a year. We went up from 2007 to 2008. The rosters will show, as will some of the new players. Graphics-wise, not so much. But that's what you expect from sports games, ain't it? You don't expect the game to go all out with the graphics, especially a year after the original.
MLB Power Pros!
But we are here at the second of the MLB Power Pros games that was released stateside, MLB Power Pros 2008.
MLB Power Pros!
So you can see here, these are some of the controls that we can use. We could use the Wii Remote, the GameCube, the Classic Controller, Wii Controller, and Nunchuck. You get the drill. Now, as you can see here, the overall layout of the menus is somewhat similar. The music's obviously changed, but there are just a couple of other things that you can see that are different. Of course, many of the various modes remain the same. Exhibition mode, success mode, home run, practice, arrange, league, season, MLB Life, which is brand new, but we will be getting into what that is a bit later. We have the Wii Remote, we have Shop, we have the Shop, the baseball cards, and the My Data. Now, when you looked at what I had for the original MLB Power Pros, it was significantly less than what I had for this game. Now you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, "Oh, what are you missing?" And man, there's got to be something. There can't be anything that drastically different with you. I point out the fact that I have 200,000 power points, and I have literally everything. I unlocked everything that this game can muster. Every uniform, every pitcher, batter form, every card, every stadium. We cannot possibly buy anything, so those points that the game gives me are pretty much completely worthless to me. And that came from a multitude of things. It came from completing games in season mode, it came from completing success mode, it came from doing home run derby. I've done a lot of different things with this particular game, and honestly, apart from probably a Pokemon or Kingdom Hearts game, I would say this is probably the baseball game, probably the video game I've sunk the most hours into. And if you don't believe me, here is a comprehensive list of all of the baseball players that I have made over the years to fit for MLB Power Pros. Now, many of them are, as you would imagine from their last names, baseball players who actually existed. Players that the MLB, the show, that these game does not allow you to, since obviously this isn't a game with DLC, you can't get particular baseball players in games anymore. There is way too many names for me to list, but I will give off some of the ones that I have. We have David Price here, former Tampa Bay Ray, Boston Red Sox, Detroit Tiger, Toronto Blue Jay, Max Scherzer, future Hall of Famer, Zach Wheeler, the current ace of the Philadelphia Phillies, Justin Masterson, who for a while was a Bulldog for Cleveland, Daniel Murphy, Yoenis Cespedes, Evan Gattis, Ian Desmond, Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, Jay Bruce, Nori Aoki, Alex Avila. That's Jose Valentin, because as I mentioned in the previous parts, a lot of players did end up getting cut out of the games. We got Buster Posey, Jose Abreu, Michael Conforto, Nelson Cruz, another player that got randomly cut out. Starlin Castro, Jason Kipnis, Drew Stubbs, Justin Turner, Jason Hayward, Jose Altuve, Fernando Tatis, Pablo Sandoval, Freddie Garcia. That's my boy Jack. That's my friend Jack, who we had in the previous game that I made. There's still plenty more. Good Lord. Pedro Alvarez, Neil Walker, JD Martinez, Matt Wieters, Ike Davis, Brandon Crawford, Chris Davis. He of that awful contract the Orioles gave him. Devin Mesoraco, Freddie Freeman, Todd Frazier, Anthony Rendon, Matt Carpenter, Carlos Gonzalez, Tim Tebow, yes, when he was a baseball player and wanted to play for the Mets. We have Matt Joyce, we have Eric Young Jr., Bryce Harper, Travis d'Arnaud, Marcelo Zuna, Brian Dozier, Will Myers, Mike Trout, Salvador Perez, Russell Branyan, yes, Russell's got muscle Branyan, Paul Goldschmidt, couldn't fit his name so I called him Goldie, AJ Pollock, Yasmani Grandal, Lucas Duda, we're still going, Mark Trumbo, Colby Rasmus, I never gave you data, I'm sorry, Colby Rasmus, Slammin' Sammy Sosa, Eric Hosmer, Mike Piazza, obviously the guy who was a big part of our lineup the year prior, not so much anymore. Barry Bonds, who in previous games would have been Great Gonzalez. We have David Freese, Brandon Belt, Andrew McCutcheon, Wilson Ramos, Michael Brantley, Brett Gardner, Mike Aviles, sorry, Yasiel Puig, oh my god, DJ LeMahieu, Nolan Arenado, Manny Machado, Charlie Blackmon, Alan Craig, you don't have any either, I'm sorry, Alan Craig, JP Arancibia, Cameron Maben, Christian Yelich, Austin Jackson, Casey McGee, Jan Gomes, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, Yasmani Tomas, Chase Headley, Starling Marte, Javier Baez, John Mayberry, Sean Green, Dominic Brown, Gordon Beckham, Elvis Andrews, Kyle Seager, Randall Grichuk, and my good friend Kenny, who was also a player that we had in the previous game. But that alone, those are all of the players that I've made. And when you see when we boot up success mode in the next episode, you will see just how bonkers things have become. Like no joke, it is like supremely bonkers how messed up some of these, how much stuff I've changed, and how many players I've made, and I'm nearing the limit on the amount of players I can make. It's absolutely crazy. But we are going to do another exhibition match here. For the sake of argument, we will do that Power Pros World Series rematch that I had the year prior. We had the Mets and we had Cleveland. We will do it from Shea. No DHs. I will gladly keep them on All-Star difficulty just to give me a little bit more of a challenge. And they're all the players based on their previous years that I ran them with, as you can see. And with nothing else to worry about, let the games begin. Now, as I mentioned in the opening, the graphics for MLB Power Pros 2008 are a hair different. There's a few new animations, there's a few new styles. It looks a little bit nicer than it did in 2007. Slightly better graphics. But the main pickup for this game was the fact that you can do the MLB Life and the upgraded success mode. But since we know all about how the game mostly functions, we're going to instead see if I can shut down Cleveland's lineup for a few innings, and then we'll see where we go from there. With my team, the New York Mets.
Grounds to third and is retired. Next up,
I know this is a bit of a repeated type of episode, but I don't particularly, and I hope you guys don't either.
Next up, Travis Hafner. He smacks the first pitch. This one is ripped and it is catching.
That do be gone.
A home run.
Reminiscent of that MLB Power Pros World Series when Travis Hafner literally hit every single ball out of the ballpark.
The Indians get the first run.
Friggin' monster. But whatever. Let Travis Hafner.
Next up, Victor Martinez.
I like Travis.
It's a
Well, I
strike.
more or less feel
Down
bad
1-1.
for Travis Hafner. He had the
He's behind
league
the count.
by the
Down
palm of
0-2.
his hands, and then it just did not happen.
Off the head of the
after
bat.
that.
Throwing to first. Out. There's the third out.
Now it's time to see if I can hit CC Sabathia for a
We entered the bottom of the first inning. The Indians.
You
won.
might have
The Mets,
noticed
0.
in the success mode point of this
Here's the
game
starting lineup for
that,
the Indians.
or like when you saw
Starting for
the
Indians is
players
CC
that I created,
Sabathia.
that the pitchers are significantly better than they would have been
The Mets trail by 1 run.
if they would have been
First batter in
otherwise.
their lineup.
And I'm
Jose
willing to bet I
Reyes.
missed a few of the
Ground ball
starters.
straight to the
I
second
vaguely
baseman.
remember there were a few
One
starters
away.
in there that are not
Reyes
there
grounds to
anymore, which
second
is weird.
and is retired.
In fact, I'm
Next up,
I'm
Murphy.
actually kind of concerned that I missed a couple of starters,
That's a strike.
because there should be some more starters that I might have missed. But I guess I'll have to take a. Actually, no. Actually, now I'm kind of
Makes the
perturbed.
play unassisted. 2 away.
Did I miss
Next
them?
up, David Wright.
Because there were a few others that I had. Nathan Eovaldi, Carlos Carrasco.
Line drive.
There were a bunch of others that I
It's a
missed,
hit.
and I'm a little concerned that
The batter advances to
You know,
second. They're
they're
throwing to
not
second.
there.
Wright hits a double into the gap of right center field. We have a runner on second with 1 out. And here's the man of the hour.
Delgado,
Carlos
can you hit
Delgado
one
of the
out?
Mets. Could tie the game up right now. Foul.
That would be very nice if you could. But CC is a good pitcher, so
Foul ball.
I fully expect not to. As you can see, when you move the cursor around, the baseball player does not follow you, so you're not
Foul
going to be able
ball.
to
This
get a
one
lot of
goes into
cheap
the stands.
hit-by pitches in this game like you could in the first one.
He got around on that one.
They
Foul
did
ball.
improve a lot of things in the game. But there are some, while
This
they've
one
improved
lands
some
in the
they'll
stands.
also
Foul.
taken a few
Delgado
things away,
hangs
but
up.
we'll
He
get more into
drives it to the
that
opposite field.
in the next session. But
That was an easy
actually,
catch.
now that I've played an inning of ball, not that I'm afraid I'm going to lose the game,
Indians
because like I
are
said,
now
I
at
don't
bat.
care if I lose the game. Where were those other pitchers? I'm like very concerned that those pitchers aren't there anymore. Oh, I must have just like, wow, I'm stupid. I didn't do the first page. Wow, I'm stupid. God damn it, this is gonna be on recording, and you know what? Future me's gonna have a fucking field day, but I don't care. Also, here's some of the remaining pictures that I've made. Oh God, at least this will be quicker this way. Madison Bumgarner, Matt Harvey, Corey Kluber, Craig Kimbrell, Jake Arrieta, Jake DeGrom. Ignore the miles per hour. That was the best I was gonna get with him. Jonathan Neese, Nathan Eovaldi, Aroldis Chapman, Bartolo Colon, Yu Darvish, Rick Porcello, Carlos Carrasco, David Robertson. I was about to say, I'm missing way too many freaking pitchers here. Why are you? I was gonna say, why is so many of these guys don't have their stats input? I don't know. Weird, but yes, those are all of the pitchers I've made. Just to counteract some of the, actually wait, let's make sure we save. I can't believe I dodged the first page. I'm so stupid. I am beyond stupid. But you know what? I'm keeping this in. But just to show you some of the, basic differences on the rosters, as you can see, we've got some younger players who made their debuts in 07 that are on the rosters. We have Jacoby Ellsbury here. We have Clay Buchholz. My main man, Jabba Chamberlain, and the Yankees. I don't think Toronto really changed that much. They're pretty much the same. Baltimore has Adam Jones, even though Adam Jones is an all-star, but they gave him shit stats because he's a rookie, which is a trend in this game, as you will very soon find out. In fact, we may as well do it. The players in this game are not really... The stat distribution in this game is very weird. So, like, you'll see Dustin Pedroia here. You think those are okay stats for him, until you realize that in 2008 he won the MVP and put up, like, career best numbers. And Jacoby Ellsbury is a stolen base machine that they only gave C speed for. It's one of those, again, weird things that the game just decides they feel like doing at this particular moment in time. And as I mentioned in the last game, if a player misses time due to injury, their stats can be nerfed. Case in point, Jason Giambi. And there are several other pitchers that have that distinction. You'll find more pitchers have the the like low control but decent stamina for starters, and that's pretty much like a default for a lot of starters in this game, even if they, specifically if they don't pitch a full season. So like Carl Pavano here, and you had Clay Buchholz here. But if you jump ahead to the Mets, it's the same for Pedro Martinez. His pitches remain the same, but because he only pitched 1 month of the year in 2007, well, you can see there his stats don't reflect that. But you'll find a lot of young players who did not particularly like have big standout years, or you know they're going to have standout years in the future. They don't really have the stats to back it up. So, for example, you have a guy, like I said, with Jabba Chamberlain, who they move from bullpen to starter often, but they focus mostly on his bullpen appearances here. Same can be said, another thing can be said, as I mentioned, for Adam Jones with Baltimore, whose stats are definitely not what you'd expect. So if you want to make Adam Jones the better player, all you gotta do is click his thing and upgrade his abilities here, and that'll make him the better player that he was always meant to be, if that is what floats your boat. The same can be said for Evan Longoria, who it would be the Rookie of the Year in 2008. But his stats definitely aren't what they're supposed to be for that point. But again, I'm just beating a dead horse at that point. Cliff Lee is the funniest, because Cliff Lee had a very bad year in 2007, and in 2008 would win the Cy Young Award as baseball's most dominant left-handed pitcher. But again, that's the price you pay when you do a game like this. Also, there's Drupal Cabrera, blah, blah, blah. The Detroit Tigers. The man, the myth, the legend, the Marcus the Tims was absolutely nerfed in this game. I don't know why. But they gave some points to Gary Sheffield, so I guess that's respectable. Kenny Rogers is another guy who didn't pitch the full year, so they gave him okay stats. You get the drill. It's going to be a thing that you're going to be encountering throughout most of this game. Rather than give everyone individualized stats or just completely nerfing them or making them better, they more or less just went the way of like giving everyone consistency. Don't ask why, that's just the way. That is just the way they roll. The most painful for me will always be Kansas City, because Zach Greinke is a dominant starting pitcher, but they were using him as a reliever for some asinine reason. And then Alex Gordon, who is probably the best defensive left fielder out there, is at third base for some unknown reason. Kansas City, what am I gonna do with you? There are other players that got random nerfs, like Juan Rivera, who played very well but was injured for most of 2007, so they just completely nerfed some of his stats. Gary Matthews Jr. had an otherwise okay year for the Angels, but they still nerfed his stats. Mike Napoli was injured for a bit of the year, but more or less put up numbers that he would put up in a half of a year all the time. But like I said, it does not matter to them if your stats match or are, you know, like indicative of how well you did as a particular player. They just go with based on what they felt was best for a specific player, whether it makes sense or not. R.A. Dickey is, of course, in this game, which is nice. But, of course, he is not the dominant knuckleballer that he would be, so if you want to make him a key contributor, you'll have to upgrade his stats. Oakland, I don't understand. Like, they have, like, no starting pitchers, Oakland. They have literally two legitimate starters in this guy, Chad Gaudin, and Joe Blanton. I know Rich Harden is supposed to be a starter, but they don't give him that. Justin Duchscherer was a starter, but then they leave him as a reliever. It's one of those weird things that they do with this with so many rosters in this game, actually. The Rangers, a lot of random pitchers, most of whom would not even make appearances in 2008, which is weird. The Philadelphia Phillies, probably one of the best well-rounded offenses in the game. the Mets with the demon god himself, Ryan Church. I will never understand why they made him so goddamn good in this game. And like, those stats don't even indicate how good he is. But like, if you know how to play this game, Ryan Church could lead the league in literally every stat, and it just frustrates me. You have the Atlanta Braves, who are another random team that's compiled with randomness. The Nationals, who are pretty damn awful, league constructed, but since they were rebuilding, it makes sense. The Marlins, who are always a pesky team in this game and have a pretty pesky roster to show for it. Even though a lot of their starters were injured most of 2007, which is why all their stats suck ass. It annoys me, but you know what? It's another team that needs the stat modifiers. So if you want players to play up to their consistency, guys, just make sure their stats are increased to the measure. And for some strange reason, they made Kosuke Fukudome a right fielder when he would predominantly play center field for the Cubs in 2008, but that's just a me thing. We have the Roid Muncher, Ryan Braun. Did he win Rookie of the Year in 07? Or did Troy Tulowitzki? I don't remember. Future me may put something in. Or he might not. Future me might not care. You have the Cardinals. You can see Chris Carpenter only made one start in 2007 before getting down with injuries. You have the Astros. The Cincinnati Reds, who finally have Joey Votto, but Joey Votto's stats apparently are definitely not indicative of what he would be as a player. Same with Johnny Cueto and Edinson Volquez. But hey, they have Mike Lincoln, and we all know Mike Lincoln, right? You have the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got Joey Bats, Jose Batista, but again, he does not have Joey Bats stats, so yeah. You have the Diamondbacks, the most random best record in baseball. That's probably a best record in the National League that's ever been given. And let's be real, the only reason they had the best record in baseball was because of the Mets' collapse in 07. But we're not going to talk about that. Randy Johnson missed a lot of the year. That's why his stats are nerfed. Justin Upton was a 19-year-old rookie who got called up. But his stats got to improve if you want him to be a contributor. The random-ass Colorado Rockies run to the World Series. They have a fun team, but it's good luck pitching in Colorado because it is an awful park to pitch in. You have the Padres, who should be good, but you're always missing something. Sometimes their pitching sucks, sometimes their offense sucks. It's a case-by-case situation. You have the Dodgers, who again should always be decent in these games. Signed Andrew Jones for some unknown reason, even though they have a bunch of young outfielders. And a center fielder already in Juan Pierre. But I digress. Decent team all around. And before you're asking, I've tried to make Clayton Kershaw way too many times. It's just not possible. I mean, I'm sure it is possible, but it takes a lot of patience. And I'm not doing success mode as a pitcher again. You're out of your mind. Then we have the young and up-and-coming San Francisco Giants instead of the veteran-laden ones. We have the freak, Tim Lincecum. We have Matt Cain and a few other guys that would soon eventually be part of the world champion Giants team. And a bunch of other random free agents that the game just decided to sprinkle in. But that's some of the changes that they've made to MLB Power Pros, and in the next episode, we will begin our second tour through success mode in this game. And our first in this game, our second throughout the LP. Trust me, it's different. But some things are different, some things remain the same. We'll just have to wait and see what they are. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm your friendly neighborhood N-Man64, and I am signing out. Until we meet again, my lovelies, Saya freaking Nara.